Today's call is about tracking your financials and KPIs in REsimpli. So when you log in, this is the dashboard that you see in the system. And then you hover right here, you go into KPIs, and this takes you into the KPI page. So this main KPI page would be your CEO level, very high level KPI dashboard. It talks about tracking your deals. So you can set your goal for the year. So I'm going to change this to, let's say if my goal is to do 30 deals, I can update this and it's going to update my transaction based on that. I'll go into that. I can set my revenue goal. This would be my gross revenue that I want to do this year. And then I can click right here. This would be my net income that I wanted, that I have goal for this year. So you can update any of these by clicking right here. And then the next is your marketing channel performance. So this tracks where are you getting most of your deals from, which channel is giving you the most deals. So this tells me I have 3 deals from direct mail at $4.90 ROI. ROI means for every dollar that you put in, how much gross revenue you're getting back. So from direct mail, I'm getting $4.90 back for every dollar that I put in. And then this tells me the best ROI in my business. So which happens to be direct mail also. If it's different, it would be a different marketing channel. So my best ROI and the most deals is direct mail. This is a testing account. So if numbers look funky, it's because it's a testing account. So it tells me, my best ROI in my business is direct mail, $4.90, and I've done 3 deals from it. And this right here tells me overall what's my cost per lead, my cost per deal, how much money I've spent in revenue, and how much money I've spent in marketing, and how much revenue I've generated, and what's my marketing ROI. So I've spent $18,457. And from those marketing efforts, I made $90,448. So this number is different from this because this tracks your overall revenue, including if you have, for example, interest income that you're getting in your business, or rental income, some other income that's not directly related to a marketing channel. So you can keep track of that also. But this right here tells you the marketing efforts, the revenue that's coming from your marketing efforts. And this tracks here your lead and deal flow for last 12 months. So you can hover on any one of these. It tells you in Feb, for example, we had 23 leads, 1 appointment, we made 4 offers, and we had 1 deal from it. And then this year, how many leads we've had from each of the lead sources: cold calling, Craigslist, direct mail, Google AdWords, and referral. And this tells me of all the marketing that I'm doing, which marketing channel, how each of the marketing channels is performing based on the ROI. So I only have direct mail right here. So it tells me direct mail is giving me, for every dollar, it's giving me $4.90. And then for different marketing that I'm doing in my business, how much money I'm spending and how much money I'm getting back. So I can see I spent $18,457 and I made $90,448 from those marketing efforts. And the messages that I've sent out in last 7 days, and then the calls incoming and outbound in last 7 days. So this is very, very high level. And then you can go right here into the marketing. And this basically tracks all of this that you saw related to marketing in very detail. So the breakdown of $18,457, it's right here. I can click and see, which list have I spent the money on and how much money I've made. So this is the breakdown of the 90,448. All of these, everything right here is clickable. So I can click and see where have I made my 65,000 from. And I can see how many leads did I get from each of these appointments, offers, under contracts, and deals. So I can click and see where are the 11 leads that I received, what stage they're in, and the name of each of the lead. And I can see the 2 deals that I've closed from ProBid, which ones have I closed on, and where are they in my pipeline right now. Like this is a new inventory and this is sold. And I can also click on any one of these and track my numbers. This right here tracks my conversion KPI for every single marketing that I have in my business, every single campaign that I'm running in my business. How many leads do I need before I go on an appointment? This tracks for how many appointments do I need before I make an offer? How many offers do I need to make before I get a deal? how many leads do I need to make? How many leads do I need to get in my pipeline from this campaign before I get a deal? How many appointments do I need to go on before I get a deal? And what's my cost per lead, cost per deal, and ROI in my business? Again, ROI is every dollar that I'm putting into this specific marketing channel, direct mail probate list, how much money am I making from that marketing channel? So I can clearly see, even though overall I'm making $4.90, but I'm doing really well with probate. I'm making $11.11 for every dollar that I'm putting in, but from my absentee list, I'm only making $1.99. So if I have more money to invest, I would probably do that in probate list versus doing it in my absentee list. So any questions on any of this? Just feel free to stop me anytime if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep going.
Yeah, I do have a quick question, Sharad.
Go ahead.
Would you mind, right now I feel like this is maybe putting the cart before the horse just a little bit. Would you mind going to the actual core of integrating your bank account to your accounting so that you can see how these numbers are?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's the next step. So you go into your banking. So this connection is going to be a little bit different. We are switching to Plaid. Plaid is the same bank provider for Venmo, TransferWise. So if you want to link up your bank account, you click right here, add account. So you can either click on link account, and then it takes you to direct integration with Plaid. So it just connects your entire bank account through Plaid. So you click right here, you choose your bank account, whichever bank you have an account with. So these are some of the most commonly used banks that will be listed right here. Otherwise, you can search for a bank. For example, we have an account with Novo Bank, or we have an account with Mercury Bank. It links with, I think, 90 to 95% of the banks. So once you click here, it goes through your credentials. We don't control any part of this. It is controlled directly through your bank financial institution. So if I click right here, I put in my information. So if you have a two-step authentication set up with your bank account, they'll send you a text on your cell phone, and they'll go through that process for you to link your bank account. But Jeremy, did you have any other questions on this, on linking?
Once it's linked, I guess my question is, when you are tracking your ROI, all of your revenue and expenses, how do you start to track your actual expenses and your costs?
Okay. So yeah, there's two ways of linking your bank account. Either you can link up your bank account, it goes through Plaid integration, or if you have a bank account with a few transactions, that you're using it for personal and business, but you don't want to link up, you can just click manual bank account and just add it manually, and then you can do manual transaction. But once you've linked up your bank account, it'll pull those transactions from your bank directly. So let's say it's, these are the transactions that I have. So if I click on this, I can choose the vendor. So these are all the vendors that you've added in the system. If you don't have, if it's a new vendor, you can just click right here, add the vendor, select the category, go through that. So let's say I spend this money on my, I'm going to open this. So let's say if I spend this money on marketing to my absentee list, so I'm going to select the vendor. Let's say this is ABC Marketing. Date is already pulled from my bank. Amount is already there, and it tells me this is an expense. I can select how I paid this. I said this was an online. If I want to put a reference number, I can do that. Otherwise, I can say, okay, if it's a marketing expense, you would select general business because it's not related to any property. So I would select general business. Account would be direct mail or whatever marketing you're doing, cold calling, SMS. You can just choose that. And then let's say if I have direct mail, and if it's a new bank, you can easily add a new account. You can easily just click right here, add an account. And then if you have multiple campaigns running in that specific marketing that you're doing, it's going to show you a list of all those campaigns. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and select absentee list, that this was another $1,000 that I spent on my direct mail campaign. So I'm going to go back to my KPIs. And if I go into marketing, so once I input this expense right here, and it will update this in real time. So this is $18,457. This is $4.90. So once I refresh this, I go back, all of that is going to change. So this went up to $19,467, and this went down because I have more money that I spent in direct mail. And so my ROI went down, and I can click right here. And on my absentee list, I can see that expense of $1,010.14. So if I can click on that, and it'll bring me to that specific transaction. So any questions on this?
Nope, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. And then you can do that with all the marketing channels that you're running in your business. And then you can do any other expenses, whether it be your revenue or your office expenses or whatnot. So let's say I have done this. So my KPIs got updated. This is $4.65 and added my money spent number. And then the next thing would be, let's say if I have this property, this is in my direct mail probate list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this from my under contract to, let's say this is, I'm going to move it to assign to buyer first, wholesale. And let's say my assignment fee is going to be 25, but 25, let's just make it 250,000. What the heck? All right. So I assigned this contract today. Let's say I'm going to close on this. Once I've done that, I'm going to move this to sold. And let's say my assignment fee was this. I closed it today. This is my wholesale property. So now this is in my sold properties, 328 Oriole Avenue. And if I go back into my banking, go back into my banking. Let me go into this one. Let me see if I have any revenue number here. Nope. I'm just going to do a manual transaction. So what I'm going to do is, let's say if I made money on this property, I'm going to say ABC Title Company, and I made 250,000 in assignment fee. I'm going to do income, say they wired me the money, and I'm going to select the property 328 Oriole Avenue, and the account would be, you can choose whichever income the account you want to track it. So this is a wholesale fee, so I'm going to select wholesale fee, and that's all I need to do. I'm going to click add. And when I go back here, so now this number is 90,448. This is $4.65 once I refresh this. So you notice this went up, and I go back into my marketing. So this number went up to 340,000 and my ROI went up to $17.49. Now I can click on direct mail. It's going to say that, I had this revenue number for specifically for probate lists has gone up. So I can click right here. And I can see I have, income from these two properties, this one, and then this is the one that I just booked. I can click and it'll take me to that again, that specific transaction. So the system will automatically recognize that this property that you booked a wholesale fee on came from probate list. So it's updating your KPI to each specific marketing list that you might be running, to specific lead source and specific campaign that you're running in your business. So you don't have to worry about going back and checking to see, okay, where did I make this money from? If I have a revenue of 25, 30, whatever property that you sold, the system will automatically recognize which property did you sell to make that revenue from, and which list it came from, which marketing channel it came from. So it'll keep updating your KPIs in real time for that specific property. Any questions on this? No. Okay. So, yeah, that's how you'll keep updating your KPIs within the system. And then another thing is, so as you're moving a property from, let's say, I'm going to move this from contact made to appointment set. Actually, I'm going to move it from contact made to offer made. And I'm going to say, I did not go in an appointment, and I'm going to make an offer of this amount. Let's say I'm going to make the offer today. If I go back into my KPIs, so all of this would also get updated for me. So if I do this, and then I refresh right here, so I have 12 properties in offer. So this went up to 13 now, and I can click on every single one of them and see which one, all the lead source and campaigns that I'm running in my business, which ones am I making an offer on? So this one was, I forgot which one. Yeah, I think this one. So this is direct mail absentee. So I can just click right here and I can see all the ones that I've made an offer on for these properties right here for these campaigns. And same thing for probate list, and same thing on, I can track them throughout my my campaign. And as I'm moving them from one stage to the next, all of this would get updated for me. So if I move this one from offer made to under contract, and I'm going to say this. So let's say let's say this is going to close in a couple of weeks. And this KPI would also get updated for me. So instead of 10 properties under contract, it's going to move it to 11 properties under contract based on the fact that I have the property move from offer made to under contract stage now. And then, so this would be a very high level KPIs that you're running in your business. And then this is your detailed marketing. And you can keep track of your gross revenue, kind of how I showed you. And you can also keep track of your net income. So if I go, so I have net income right now for this account of 329,000. I can go back to my banking. I can go in and let's say I have this expense of, so this $10,000 that I spent on online. And I'm going to just put, let's say this was my accounting fee of $10,000. So once I do this, I go back into my KPI. This number went down from whatever it was before to this number. So as I keep booking more and more expenses and revenue, these two numbers will keep changing, and my ROI and my revenue number and my net income number would keep updating based on how much I've spent and how much money have I made in my business. And then I can go in and pull some reports right here. So I can click right here in my report section. I can click on income statement, and I'll pull up the income statement for me for the year. So I can see how much money am I making from my fix and flip business? How much money am I making from my other income, whether it be, through some sort of a refund or whatnot that I tracked as other income? How much money am I making from my rental income if I have rental properties? How much money am I making from my wholesale fee? So it shows that I have a gross revenue of 476,000, including everything. Like this is my general business expense. This might have been some rental income, not rental income, sorry, interest income or some other non-business related income, non-property related income that I receive that I've tracked as general business. So I can click right here and it'll show me, this is just like random. I was doing some testing. So I put this right here and I can see for my fix and flip income, 42% of my revenue in my company is coming from fix and flip. 0.12% comes from other income, 0.1% is coming from rental, and 57.7% of my total revenue is coming from my wholesale fee. So it shows me the breakdown of the entire 476,000. And then on my expenses side, it shows me I have total expenses of 62,000. And right here, it shows me, I put a negative expense for testing purposes, but this is 1% of my total revenue I'm spending on my general business, 6.57% of my total revenue I'm spending on my legal and professional, like accounting fee and other expenses, 4.3% of my total revenue I'm spending on my marketing and specifically just direct mail, and then 2.08% is on repairs and 1.15% on travel. So basically I'm spending 13.1% of my revenue on expenses, and my net income ratio is 86.9%. And I can see the total expenses that I have. How are the total expenses split up for me? So of my entire expenses, I have 50.18% is going towards my legal and admin, 32% of my total expenses to direct marketing, and then 15% repairs, and 8.8% is towards travel. And then I can click on any one of these properties and see if I had 40,000, what were the transactions made up. I can click right here. If I want to, add a transaction memo, I can do that. I can attach a copy of the HUD statement or anything else that I have related to that specific transaction, whether that might be invoice, copy of the check, or anything else. So this is like essentially full bookkeeping for you to keep track of all your expenses, and then also for you to keep track of all the revenues and KPIs that you have in your business. And then you also have a complete general ledger report that you can use for like tax purposes with all your income statement and balance sheet accounts that you have. That you can just either download into a PDF or Excel and send it to your accountant. It shows all the expenses, everything that you have going on. It defaults to this month, but if you want to pull for a specific time period, you can do that this year or last year, and then you want to send it to your accountant. then you can do that. And then your accountant can prepare the tax return based on this report right here. It shows you all the transactions by every single account that you have running in your business. Cool. Yeah, so that's the overview of how to track the KPIs. So then you have some other KPIs within the system that you can track based on each campaign, the time period, how long does it take from the time you go on an appointment to the time, for example, or from the time lead is credited to the time you go on an appointment set to offer made. And if you're not going on appointment, from the time lead is created to the time you go on offer made to under contract to assignment to close, how long it takes, what's your average offer price, and it's by every single campaign that you're running in your business. What's your average under contract price and what's your average assignment fee? So you can keep track of all of that. So you kind of have a sense of, typically how much is your initial offer price, how much is your under contract price, and how much are you assigning the property for if you're assigning those. So it keeps track of all of that KPIs for you. And then again, if you're rehabbing properties, you can see if you're closing on properties, how long does it take from the time you buy a property to the time you start a rehab? What's your average rehab time? What's your average list time for a property, average under contract time, your average purchase price, list price on the market, average under contract price, and then what's your average sold price for every single campaign that you're running in your business.
Hey, Sharad, this is Lily. I have a quick question.
Hey, what's up?
So for the rehab data, how would you maybe switch things up if you weren't going to sell, but you were going to do a cash out refi and you still wanted to capture as much of that information as possible?
For the rehab part of it?
Yes, first for the rehab part, but then also logging whatever you get out of the cash out.
Yeah, so what you would do is, oh man, I used to be an accountant. You're taking me back to my accountant days. So what you would do is like when you're booking expenses, so when you initially buy a property, so let's say this is a new property. Let's say you bought this property for $5,000. So you would go in ABC title company, however you paid for the property, say buyer, and you're going to select the property that you bought. So let's say this is the property that I bought. And then for the account, you are going to create a new account. Let me choose a different one Yeah. So basically for accounting purposes, again, you can check with the accountant, but the way I do is every time we buy a property, what we do is we create another asset account for that specific property. So 4211 South Avalon Boulevard would be my asset account for that specific property. So what would happen is, let's say I bought this property for $5,000. I can say this is purchase of 4211 South Avalon Boulevard, right? So this would be your initial purchase of the property. And as you spend more money on this, so let's say this was my another expense on that specific property. And let's say, I bought something from Amazon. So I'm going to add this vendor name and I'm going to just say, this is my, let's say general business. I'm going to do this. And then I would select online and I would select the same property, 4211 Avalon. And then it would be the same account also, because you are essentially increasing the, it's called like the capital value of that property. So you bought it for 5,000. Now you're spending more money on that. So you could call it rehab cost for 4211 South Avalon. So once you have done that, so now what will happen is if I go into properties, 4211, so, so I have these expenses right here. So as you keep spending more and more money, let's say my base on this property is $5,795.55. So what would happen is, let's say you go out to cash out refinance, and let's say this property is worth $20,000. So what's going to happen is, off that $20,000, let's say the bank gives you a loan of $15,000 on this property, which is like 75% loan to value. And then, 5% is, you have, so you have 5,000 equity on the property. So what's going to happen is, when you are booking that loan, you are going to book a loan for 15,000 on your books, and you're going to make this. So essentially you're getting, you have this extra cash of, $1,100 or $1,000 or $10,000 roughly. So then this would get offset, and you'll add a liability on your books for $15,000 for this against this specific property. So then when you go into this property, it'll show that you had $15,000 coming from a bank. And then also in your accounts, you'll have a liability added up for that specific property also. Okay.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so the goal would be where, you have this excess cash, from the property coming in. So if you, let's say for any of the property, like this one, I have $5,600. So if the bank gives me a loan of 15,000, then I have that $10,000 worth of extra cash. It's not profit for you, but it's just cash for you that you can use for other expenses, but it will be part of your liability for you of $15,000. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Any other questions, guys, from anyone?
Yeah, Sharad,
Anything? Go ahead.
just a suggestion. So Joseph just put in the chat, utilizing profit first. Are you familiar with that method of accounting?
We actually do use that in our business.
I just have a suggestion, and I know this is probably not the hardest thing to do, but would you ever be able to design a calculator that automatically, when we have income come into our revenue account, that it can automatically adjust and show us what needs to be transferred to other accounts? Is that something that could ever be designed?
Yeah, absolutely. We are working on that. I have just started using Profit First in my business from this year. So to be very honest, like I looked at Profit First, and I also looked at the methodology of simple numbers. They're essentially the same concept, but Profit First is a simpler concept. So I am using it in my business. And then I'm working with my CFO just to kind of see how we can make that part of REsimpli. But you're absolutely right, that will be coming based on the revenue numbers that we have. We'll show you some basically estimates of, hey, you should be putting every month, once you have booked your revenue for each property, then we'll show, okay, let's say you booked a revenue of $25,000. Depending on what percentage you have set in the business of how much money do you want to move to your income account, your payroll account, or your owner compensation, and to the taxes, then based on that, we'll say, okay, this is the money that you have essentially booked as, we'll book it as a liability in the books, if that makes sense. And then once you move the money, then it'll reduce the liability, and then your other bank account will keep going up.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're working on, I'm honestly, I've been doing it for a couple of months, so I'm just getting a little bit more familiar with it before we make it part of REsimpli.
Cool.
Okay. Cool. And Justin had a question: is Plaid already up and running, or is still Finicity? Justin, we're still Finicity on the actual live account. This is, if you noted, this is a different URL. So we're testing it right now, and it's actually working well with my account. We have a couple of questions for Plaid. If I have a couple of different bank accounts linked there, if I go in, if I try to relink this bank account, just say like my token has expired, so I have to relink. So we're talking to Plaid on how we can make it so once you've linked up your bank account, you don't have to keep relinking it, but that should be done. We're working with Plaid on that. But so far, we absolutely like Plaid so much better. There's like more bank accounts that we can link with. There were some bank accounts that I use in my business that I could not link up with Finicity. So I'm excited about switching to Plaid. So that should be happening. We have a few other transaction updates coming. So if you notice, like refer to agent is one that's not in your live account. And then also this dispo tab is being added to help manage the disposition side of the business. And then you'll notice this looks a bit different. So those updates are all going to be coming in. We're testing them right now. And also a big change is coming with list stacking. It's going to be very, very data driven now moving forward. So I'll give you a quick sneak preview of, so you can upload all your lists, and then you can see for every single list that you have, how many records, how many of those you've done direct mail to, cold calling, SMS, RVM, how many leads did you get from that, how many offer you make for all the lists that you have in probate and deals. So once we go live, I'll do a separate call in this, but this is going to be really, really nice. We're noticing already some value in our business from being able to use this. So you will not have need to, if you don't want to use multiple numbers for different campaigns, then you'll just be able to track all of that through list stacking. So I'm excited about that. But this should be coming out in a couple of weeks. This is in our final testing right now. Our team is testing it. So once they give us a green light, we'll make it live for everyone. Cool. Thank you, Blaine. If you have any other questions, let me know. Did the question about Play up and running get answered? Yeah, so yeah, it'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. Joseph had the question, we utilize profit first. Would you recommend adding all accounts with just income and operating expense? So what I recommend, and this is how I'm doing, I'm very new to profit first. So if you guys have some other suggestions on it, I'm more than happy to hear that. What I am doing is I have 3 accounts in my business. So I move 10% of the profit to a profit account. And then I move 10% to owner compensation. And then I move 25% to income tax. So I have 45% that it essentially going out as soon as I book revenue. I'm moving it from my bank account into, I have an online bank account with Ally Bank. So I have a bunch of saving accounts. So I move the money to that account. And then I have basically 55% left over for my operating expenses. So that's how I'm doing it. I have 3 accounts, but I don't know if anybody else that's using profit first, Joseph or Jeremy, you guys, if you guys have some other accounts that you set up, but I have income, the profit, owner compensation, and my capital expenses. I'm sorry, my income taxes. So essentially off the gross profit that we have, I'm making 20% as 10% as profit, 10% as owner compensation, 25% off the top goes to income taxes. So that's how I'm doing it. Joseph had the question. So would you using QuickBooks for accounting, REsimpli for KPI tracking? So would you recommend putting all accounts for REsimpli bookkeeping? Joseph, I have everything for my business. I'm running everything through REsimpli because again, it's built specifically for real estate investors. So there's like really cool things that you can do in REsimpli that you cannot do in QuickBooks. So for example, if I go into this property, so all the expenses that I was booking, this is a property that I have under rehab in my testing, I can go into that property. I can click on financial. It shows me every single transaction that I have for that specific property. So I don't even have to go into anything else and I can just go in. So I'll give you a live example of how I'm actually running my meetings with my team here. Do you guys see these 9 projects in inventory now? Yes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah. So these are the actual accounts, the actual properties that I'm rehabbing right now. And I can go into any one of these. So I can click right here and I can go into financial. This is my actual expenses that I spent on this property. As of right now, $189,210.78. And I can like see where I spend the money. If I want to see, how much did I pay to Sergio as one of our main contractors, I can see, and it shows me that I paid him $28,100 for this specific property. And this is, we bought it for $125, and you can see, we're all in for $189, and we have it under rehab for $260, scheduled to close in 3 weeks now. So that's how I'm running it. This is fully integrated throughout the system. So as I'm booking any expenses for this property, I don't have to go in to run a report. I can just click on the financials tab and I can see how much money I spent, and I can choose who has access to this financials tab. So I can go into manage user and I can go into my access permissions and I can choose, do I want to give this person access to financials tab? So my project manager in my business, what I have done is I've given her access to the financials tab, and I've also given her access to my banking stuff. So she can go in when I'm doing my weekly calls with her. I just go in and see, okay, before we put this property on the market, how much money have we spent? What do our numbers look like? And then this is kind of everything that's going on, our e-sign documents and whatnot. And I can, like, if I'm going through any of my properties, for example, this is the one that we have under rehab. How much did we buy it for? And how much money we've spent so far? 108,000. Our scope of work is 57,000. So I kind of have an idea about, okay, I can see, we're going to spend 39,200 on working with this contractor. I can go in and see, okay, everything that needs to be done. And then if I want to see how much money have I spent paying to Sergio for this specific property so far? I can just type his name and I can just run a report. And then I can see we paid him 12,200 so far out of the 39,200 that he needs to get paid. So Joseph, yeah, I'm running all my expenses through REsimpli. And then at the end of the year, I go into reports. I send the general ledger and income statement to my accountant, who just prepares my tax return based on that. It makes it easy for him also because we have all the accurate information about purchase date, sale date, all the money we've spent. So it makes it a little bit easy for him. And then in a couple of months, we're going to roll out balance sheet also. We're just finalizing that. So once we go live with the Plaid integration, after that, we're rolling out balance sheet. So I just send my accountant my general ledger income statement for right now. And then we're going to send him our balance sheet. And that's all he needs to prepare the tax return. And then for my purposes also, I can just go in and see kind of everything that's going on with my business. And again, like this income statement, in my opinion, I think it's way more detailed than I can get through QuickBooks, because again, it's built specifically for investors. So I can see what percentage of my total revenue is coming from, different types of income. So I can make better decisions. I can get a sense of like where my expenses and incomes are being spent in relation to my other incomes and other expenses. Cool. Yeah, let me know if you have any follow-up questions, Joseph, to that. Bulk emails to our buyers. Jasmine has a question. When can we expect to be able to send bulk email to our buyers? I know you're working on that, but I just wanted to have an idea. Jasmine, that's already actually live. It's been
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's been up and running for a few months now.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I tried yesterday to send a bulk email, but I could not do that.
Oh, depending on what plan you're on, it's only included in Pro and Enterprise plan. But it is up and live, so you can select everybody that you want to send to, click on send bulk email. It'll walk you through the steps on. So it's very similar to how you would use ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. I just walked you through the step. You can set up your templates. We have a couple of templates that are built for investors, but yeah, it might be the reason that you might be in the basic plan. It's not included in that, but yeah, the texting as email is already up and running.
Sure.
Okay, so it depends on the plan then.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that to me.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure. The one thing, if I could recommend, when the first we use this bulk email, it verifies my email or sender's email, but it doesn't say go to your email to verify. So I was a little bit lost till, because I kept trying it and it wouldn't say that there is something in your email account to go and verify.
Oh, I see. Okay, Anthony, if you can make a note of that, that we can just make a clear notification that please check your email to verify.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it should go to your email. Sometime it could end up in spam, but it's coming from SendGrid. That's the backend that we use. It's basically to make sure that if you have an email address, or Gmail, that I'm not using that. So you have to verify the email address that you actually own that email address in order for you to in order for you to send that from that email address. So, and then only you can send from it. So for example, I have Sharad at REsimpli.com. Only I can send from that email address using our platform. Nobody else can do that. So each email is linked with a specific account that we have. But yeah, I'll check and make sure that we make a little bit clearer on, and hey, please check your inbox to verify the email address.
Then if I could recommend one other thing, Sharad, I don't know if you're not on the KPI and banking, if you could have a screen for 60-day cash flow, I think it's really, like when
no, absolutely. We are working on that. I'm working. That's another thing. I'm working with my CFO on that. I use a Google Sheet for that. And then I'm working with my CFO on kind of what's the best way to make it automated where it would just tell you what's your cash position, because there's a lot of moving pieces with it. So yeah, we're looking into kind of what would be the best way to, because the first thing we'll have to do is we'll have to add a projected revenue thing, which is coming in Q2, where you can start, instead of just tracking your actual revenue, you will be able to track your projected revenue. So that part is coming, but the next one after that would be your projected expenses that you have. So we're kind of looking into that, what would be the best and then the most comprehensive way for REsimpli users to be able to track their projected revenue. Projected revenue part is easy, but projected expenses part, if we sort of create, give an option to add monthly or for the year and then divide it by the by 12 for the whole for monthly. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'm more than happy to get feedback on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Sharad. It just when we plan to buy a house, right? Or we know the pipeline, when I'm going to sell and how much cash available or line of equity is really nice to know before we get into trouble. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that is definitely a valid point. Some of the things we are going to be doing is, so like if you're creating a scope of work, for example, if I go back to this, so I can see like I have the scope of work of 57,200. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to start tracking against this estimate how much you spend. So that becomes part of your cash flow statement, also your revenue, but it's some of the other admin expenses that we're looking into. Like if you have payroll, if you have marketing expenses, if you have office supplies, how can we make that part of your tracking, again, to give you as accurate of a cash flow picture as we possibly can. It's like some of the big ticket items we can, we can figure out a way to track. It's those office and other expenses that need to be tracked.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharon has a question. Are regional banking institution credit unions in Plaid? Yeah, Sharon, I mean, Plaid connects with, I think 90 to 95% of the banks. I mean, if you want to give me a bank name, I can just quickly search right here, but it should be connecting with like a whole bunch of regional banks. I mean, I have like account with 3 or 4 different banks, and then every single one we were able to link up with. It's never going to be 100%, but I would say it's like 90 to 95% coverage for throughout US and Canada for your bank accounts. But if you have Frost, okay, I'm going to try Frost. Is it this one, Sharon? Frost Bank? So it gives you the logo and the URL, but yeah, this is the only Frost Bank that came up. So I'm not sure if this is the one for you. Yes, there you go. Yeah, so this one should link. We'll open this and then it'll walk you through the stamp. Like in this case, Frost Bank might have some, checks on their end. So you contact them, then they'll approve it, and then you can link through. I had to do that for my bank also. But yeah, we do connect with Frost Bank. So basically, I mean, if more or less, if your bank account connects through Venmo, then it should connect with our system also, because we're using the same backend as Venmo for connecting. Carlton has a question. Our team does a lot of our real estate transaction through seller financing. Is there a way we can track the monthly income coming in from our buyer and the money we pay the banks to the existing? Yeah, Carlton, you should be able to track that. So once you have that income coming in, part of that is going to be, I'm not sure how you have your seller financing set up. I would check with the attorney. Please do not take it as any legal advice, but I would guess like when the buyer is paying you, there's part of that going towards interest expense, part of that going towards amortization. So what you would do is, let's say if you have $1,000 coming in and you have $900 going towards interest and $100 going towards principal, then you would just record it as, you would offset that liability by $100. So the loan would go down by $100, and then you would have $900 of interest income. So it'll be expense for the person paying, but for you guys, it'll be interest income of $900, and $100 will go down for the liability. So let me see if I have any transaction. So let's say this was, the guy paid $120,000, and let's say there's test account. So what I would do is I would do split transaction. And let's say this was through check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this, what you would do is, and then you would have the property address, whatever property address you have. The account would be, you would have a liability account set up, and that would go down by, let's say, $100 right here. Whatever liability account that you have set up for that specific property. And then this would be, you have interest income of $20. So once you book that, then your liability, the loan that the person needs to pay you has gone down by $100, and then you have earned $20. Sorry, I did it the other way. The liability would be smaller, interest would be higher initially, but once you've done an amortization, then that number, every month you will get $120, but every month the liability amount will keep going higher and the interest income will keep going lower. And then you can record that and you'll be able to track all of that within the system. Kareem has a question. Are you able to upload the HUD statement, buying, selling, into the financial portion? Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. So if I go into any transaction, let's say if I go into this, I can click right here in attachment. And I highly recommend that you do that. So let me go into this. So I would click right here, and then this just becomes part of my, essentially part of my audit trail. So I can go back at this anytime. Let's say if I'm getting audited, and once I've saved it in the system, it becomes part of that transaction forever. And I have been audited for my 2017 and 18 tax return, and I had all the documents, fortunately, so I did not have to pay any IRS penalty. It's because like we make sure everything that we had, we were attaching it with the transaction. So I highly recommend, if you're making any expenses, especially for expenses, that you are attaching invoice that you have from your contractor, a copy of the check, or any document that you have, receipt or anything. You can attach multiple documents to it. So I would do that. And then you can always come here and then just click on that. It shows you what transaction that you have for that specific property. So you can easily keep track of what's going on. And then if you were ever to get audited, unfortunately, then you can just simply go here and send that documentation to IRS, and then you should be fine because you have documentation for that. To add to my question, if we pay a mortgage minimum that's $500 a month, which is $100,000 from our buyer, how can we track that with our acquisition cost? So Colton, the way it would work it, so the $1,000 you're getting, part of that would be your interest income, part of that would be a mortgage, and then the $500 that you're paying, part of that would be the loan that you're paying off, and then interest expense that you're paying off. So and then you will have the difference between the two would be the interest income minus your interest expense would be part of your net profit. So that would keep going up. Cool. Yeah, awesome. So guys, those are all the questions we had. Anybody else has any questions that I did not answer, or any suggestions or feedback on anything?
I have 2 other suggestions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So I just came back from a mastermind this last weekend, and a bit of advice was shared that I thought was actually very smart. This doesn't have anything to do with bookkeeping. It actually has to do with the leads. Is depending on the user, you can actually hide the asking price when the lead comes in, so that your lead managers and acquisition managers don't try to select leads that are easy closes and ignore other ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah. So I like that a lot. So you can just basically, like, if it's a lead manager, you can probably have like a switch to either let them see the price or not let them see the price. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I just wanted to suggest that. Yeah,
absolutely. And what was the other thing?
The other thing was, you may be able to do this. I'm a newer user, but when you get when you get photos for the properties that you have under contract, is there a way to just create all those photos into one PDF file?
Not in PDF, but this is an update we are making to this next update. So we're going to make it a little bit easier. So if I take these, so I can drop these pictures right here. once your pictures are uploaded within the system, like you'll see this option right here. So you can watch the preview of the picture, or you can watch it in list view. So right now, the only option you have it in the list view, but you'll be, with this update, you'll be able to watch. And then it's going to be, the loading time is also going to be much faster because we're not loading the whole picture. We're just loading only the essentially like a smaller image of that, just so that, you can view it on computer. But the PDF would be like if you want to attach it with like an offer or something. Would that be the purpose of it?
It would be more for like access to the email blast. So it can just be like an image that you import into whatever the email blast looks like or whatever it may be. But I don't know. I was just thinking that a way to have a very easy share of a file, like as just one PDF.
I mean, I know what some of the other teams are doing. So for example, let's say if I've uploaded these pictures, then what I can do is I can just click right here and I can make a shareable link, and I can choose how much permission do I want to give to whoever I'm sending the link to. So I can either make it view files only. So if I'm sending it to my buyers list, I would only make it view. So I can just click right here. And if anybody goes on that link now, this is what they will see. And then they can also preview it. And then like basically you'll send it to your buyers and then they'll view the pictures like that. But if you're sending it to, let's say if you have something that you're sending it to if your acquisition person is in the field, or if you have a property runner or somebody that's actually, or a seller even. So what you could do is you could do property pictures. You could make this folder. And then in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the permission to view, add new files, and delete. You can do also to view and add. If I'm sending it to a seller, I would just change the permission to view and add files. But if I'm sending it to an internal team member, my acquisition person, she's going on an appointment, then we'll just send her this link. So if I do this and I open this link, now this link will have a button to add files. So if I click on this, I can just go in and I can choose the images that I want to drop in that property. So think of it like sending this link to your acquisition person, your seller, they will just open it. It's a public link. They'll open it. They'll upload the pictures. Once they've done that, like in this case, I gave the person permission to delete also, because if it's my internal team member, sometimes that, they might upload a picture, a personal picture or a different property picture that I didn't mean to, then, they can delete it. But if it were seller, I would just give them view and add, and then they will not have delete button. So once this pictures are uploaded, I just go back into my property and I refresh it. So those pictures are already synced up here. So I can view those pictures right here in my system. And then I don't have to, and then it's kind of like how you would use Google Drive or Dropbox. So this is what we use in our business for all the properties. So this is my actual, one of the properties that we're rehabbing. So if I go into the files, it might have logged me out of this. So if I go into any one of my properties, I can go into files and I can see these are the purchase documents. When did we buy it? These are my final pictures and videos. Any receipts that I have, these are rehab pictures and videos. So I can click on any single one of them. And this is what my team is going in and updating on like a weekly basis when they're walking through the property. So I can just watch the pictures or videos right here and I can see what's happening on a weekly basis with the project. But they're doing it based on the link. So if I go right here, so you see like this, somebody on my team would create a link, send it to, whatever they need. Final pictures and videos as this link, rehab pictures and videos as this, pre-rehab pictures and videos as this link. So depending on what they need to do, they'll just go in and upload those pictures in whatever folder that they need to.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I just had a quick question, and going back to, the equal opportunity that somebody just mentioned, when it comes to people looking at the asking price. Now, I had a similar issue or a similar question, I guess, as far as the people who are pushing the leads over to the lead managers.
Right.
When it comes to language, I noticed that, those who speak Spanish are trying to I'm not sure how to say it right, but I want to create like an equal opportunity when it comes to the people coming into the funnel. you know, obviously we're supposed to ask what language they speak, and how, you know, we're supposed to bucket them and specify what language, but I want to make sure that it's an equal opportunity for the people pushing the leads, and also the people who are calling out to these leads to make an offer. Is there a way to kind of close that circle? Is there a way to kind of to shut that down, as far as when they're pushing the lead over, so it's open to everybody?
So what is going to happen in the next update? That's in development right now. Let me see if I can pull up. Okay.
Or even vice versa, you know, if it came to a point where there was a dedicated side of the team to a specific language, you know what I mean? So we could funnel it that way as well. But I mean, I guess my thought process now that I'm thinking about it is there a way to either, you know, close that gap for now, so it's an equal opportunity for everybody?
So what will happen is, so right now when you're assigning leads, it only gets assigned based on round robin, right? So let's say you and I are acquisition managers. The first lead, regardless of what, you know, what kind of lead it is, from based on a campaign, well, let's say first one will get assigned to me, second to you, then I'll just round robin. So in the next update, and not next update, so this is in development, it'll come out in a month. You will be able to choose either you do round robin or you do first to claim. So you can say, hey, anytime a new lead comes in, people will have opportunity. They'll get an email from us saying, hey, there's a new lead created in the system. Whoever logs in can claim that lead first, or you can do based on a manual assignment. So it could be, let's say a lead manager goes in, and lead manager is responsible for assigning it to a specific person on the team rather than it being round robin. So then you can say, let's say if a lead comes in from a Spanish speaker, then you can assign it to somebody that speaks Spanish on your team and not to somebody that does not speak Spanish.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we're going to be adding.
Yeah,
so we're going to be adding two options on first to claim and manual assignment. Especially
so
like we don't get
to us. It'll be up to us, you know, whether it be assigned to somebody who only speaks Spanish or round robin, just like you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. You can do round robin or you can do first to claim. So let's say if you and I are the acquisition manager, and then for that specific campaign, it's set to first to claim. Let's say you speak Spanish, I do not. I go in and I know that this is Spanish speaking lead. I'm not even going to claim it because I'm not going to be able to do anything with that lead. Then I'll just maybe, you know, then you'll go in, you can claim that lead because it's a Spanish speaking lead. Or you can make it such that somebody on the team has to manually assign. So somebody on the team will review the lead details and see, okay, this is a Spanish speaking person, then they might only assign it to, let's say you, because you speak Spanish, I do not. Okay.
And that'll be on the next update of this software.
Not the next update. The next update is going to be this referred to agents, and then, you know, this section about dispo and few list stacking update. This one that I showed you is going to be, it's in development right now. It's going to come out in a month. So we're talking like end of this month or beginning of next month. But this is going to come out before that, the referred to agent, the dispo section, and a few other things. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. What about the ability to upload multiple calendar to set availability? So Justin, everybody is syncing up their own calendar. So I have my own calendar synced up right here, and I can set up my own availability. But if I have somebody on my team, like my acquisition person, she will upload her own, she'll sync up her own calendar. And then on the back end, she might have her calendar, synced up with different calendars. So what I could do right here is, for example, if I book, and it's a two-way sync between Google Calendar and REsimpli Calendar. So if I book an appointment on my REsimpli Calendar, let me go back to this. So for example, I have this seller appointment with LeBron James that I had set up for last month. When I book this appointment, it pushes to my Google Calendar and it'll block that time on my Google Calendar. And then anything that says personal appointment is an appointment that I booked on my Google Calendar. It might be a doctor's appointment. I might be on vacation or something. and then it's going to show that time as unavailable on my REsimpli calendar. So it's a two-way sync. So then this way, that's how it works. But multiple calendars, and then you can do on the back end, like my acquisition person, she has other stuff that she's doing. Her family, she might take her daughter to some school event or whatnot. Then she might have her calendar synced up with other things, but then her business calendar is syncing with other stuff on her personal end, and then we can manage her availability through the system. If that makes sense.
That's what I was asking. Yeah, that's what I was asking, just because like, trying to ship right now for like Call Porter, we're using Calendly for availability and everything. And I'd love to have my AM kind of move, more into REsimpli with the availability. But even for like mine right now, like I have my personal shared calendar with my wife, and then I have my Better Together account for my business account that is synced with REsimpli.
Okay.
And, on my phone, I have all of those stacked and I can see all the appointments and everything. But like for my AM, setting availability for like a doctor's appointment on his personal calendar, having that in REsimpli so Call Porter doesn't, book an appointment.
Yeah. So what you could do is, so here's my calendar, for example, and then you could, like on Google, you can sync up with multiple calendars. That's how I know my acquisition person does it. Like she might have her calendar and then she has like other calendars synced in right here. I don't use any of these, so I don't even know what these are. But let's say if I have a doctor's appointment today at 4 o'clock, I can say doctor's appointment. And then I can say, let's say this is from 4 to 5. And then I can choose if I want this. So this is Google default, where if you book an appointment by default, it'll show your calendar as busy. But let's say if you're just something for your personal purpose and you want to show the time it's free, then you can do free. But let's say if I'm going to do this as March 1st, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as my doctor's appointment. So when I go back, I refresh my calendar. So you see it pulled it right away within a second that I have a personal appointment. It's not pulling all the details from my Google calendar because you might have some personal, information. It's only pulling that it's a personal appointment, and that's it. Like it won't let me book anything for that date and time. So if I go in, so if Call Porter goes in, so we use Call Porter also. So let's say Call Porter goes in and they're trying to book an appointment. You see it's blocking 4 to 5 time slot, because I have something booked on my Google calendar. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the difference is like, I have my Justin at Better Together Gmail account essentially.
Right.
And then I also have, just my personal Gmail account. So you've connected your personal Gmail into
my acquisition person, because she's the one who's going on appointments. I'm not as, I'm not the one going on appointments. So that's how my acquisition person has set up. So in this, she's added a bunch of other calendar in her business calendar, and then it syncs up everything. So let's say if I'm making this appointment, right? So I'm going to make this appointment right here, seller appointment to view property, for example. Okay. So I'm going to say like my 4 to 5 is blocked because I have a doctor's appointment. Let's say I'm going to do 5 to 6 o'clock, for example, right? I'm going to do this. When I go into so now it is on my REsimpli calendar. And if I go right here, so you see it's on my REsimpli calendar. And when I sync up, you see it showed up on my Google calendar also. Now, if this calendar were linked up with my other calendar, then it would update those other calendars also.
Gotcha. Okay, so not having REsimpli do it, or being able to pull in like a personal calendar and a work calendar into REsimpli.
Right. So I guess kind of what you're explaining, the way that I take it is you should sync up your other calendars with Google, and then Google will make sure to sync it in with
exactly. Yeah, in REsimpli, right? You can only sync up one calendar, one Google calendar, but for your Google calendar, you can sync up multiple calendars. So let's say this is my personal, Sharad@gmail.com. And in this Sharad@gmail.com, so this one I could have synced up with my other calendars. So if I book an appointment on, let's say, Sharad at REsimpli, it's going to push it to this calendar, which is going to push to REsimpli. So Justin, in your case, what I would do is I would have my business calendar synced up right here in REsimpli, and then your personal calendar should push to your business calendar. This way, it'll also block time here.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Okay, and then you can change availability right here based on when you want to be available. So you can set your availability. You can block it here, but let's say, I have my Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. available. But let's say if next week, let's say tomorrow, I'm not going to be available from, 11 through, time block for whatever reason. And I'm going to be, let's say, not available through 4 p.m. I have some other stuff going on. So when when somebody on my team tries to book an appointment, it's not going to show that time available for tomorrow at all from between those two time slots. So you see, this is blocking my calendar. So now if you had your personal calendar synced up with your business Gmail, it'll just push it and it'll block the calendar, which in turn will block REsimpli calendar. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions on that. Joseph, could you make it optional to make REsimpli show all appointment personal and business? So Joseph, the only thing it does is it shows the appointment, but it doesn't show the appointment. It just shows as personal appointment. It doesn't actually pull, like you cannot click on this. It just shows it's personal appointment and it shows that it's blocked from your calendar, just so that, somebody on your team would know that there's something on your calendar. What would happen is it will not pull. If you have a doctor's appointment, you're going on vacation, you put all your personal details, it's not pulling any of that into REsimpli. It just basically whatever appointment you make, it'll just say personal appointment, whether it's a doctor's appointment, vacation, or whatever that might be. We'll pull it like every single one of these. You see it's personal appointment. It's an appointment on my Google Calendar that I made.
So Sharad, let me ask you real quick. So what would happen, let's say, if you're on Google and then you're creating a calendar event, right? And you add the Google account that you have set up with the website, would it automatically as well block it if you accepted the request per se?
So if you had, and
like let's say somebody else invited you on Google Calendar, right? And they typed in your email address that you have, your Gmail that you have registered up here with your business, right? That you have
it will.
linked up. It will block it?
It will block it.
Okay, that sounds good.
As long as this is set to busy.
Okay.
Right. It will block. As long as it's a block on your calendar, it'll block REsimpli calendar. So for my
So you add a guest, and then let's say you added your own but let's say he's on his phone, right? And he adds his business email to it, right? And he gets the notification, he accepts it, it'll block it right on
exactly. It'll block it right away. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. And then anything you have booked on REsimpli calendar will push to your Google Calendar. So then you can see if you have availability for that appointment. So it's a two-way availability.
I got you. It'll push it one way or the other.
Yeah, it'll push both ways. So if you push something, so like this is an appointment that I made on my REsimpli calendar, and then it pushed to my Google Calendar. And this is the one that I made on my Google Calendar, and it pushed to my REsimpli calendar right here. So Joseph, if you look, like whatever appointment you're making on your Google Calendar will always get pushed as personal appointment. No matter what heading, what detail you book, it's never going to be clickable. It's just going to show up as personal appointment, basically that time is unavailable. Okay. Yeah. So my acquisition person is using REsimpli calendar as the main calendar. So whatever other stuff she has going on, she's booking on her Google Calendar, and then it updates the REsimpli calendar for business purposes. And then she could also, she could book whatever she wants personal side, or if she has something else. But the availability, when somebody from my team is booking an appointment for my acquisition person, it's already synced up with her Google Calendar. So it'll only show the times that she is available for an appointment. Okay. Cool. Any other question, guys? This was a great call. Very interactive. A lot of great questions. Anything
Hey,
else?
Sharad.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one more.
Sure.
So what if you have a transfer on your bank bookkeeping? Like, what do you? Like, I marked a transfer and it marked it as an expense and it reduced my profit. What do you?
Yeah.
What do you classify that as?
Yeah. That is coming. So basically, you're talking about when you're moving money from one bank account to another within REsimpli, right? Or you're paying your credit card statement. Could be the other example, right?
Yeah, so it's like if we move something to profit, it shows it as an expense.
Yeah, so that's an update coming in Q2 where it will recognize intercompany transfer. What you could do, so what I'm doing right now is, so I've created it's like a dummy account. We call it contra account. So if let's say you're moving money from checking account to saving, so you can book it as owner's equity or something like that, or asset or liability, and then move it to that account. And then when you receive the money in another account, you book it against the same account. So it'll offset to zero because you're going to have the same transaction. And then, but that's an update we're coming out within Q2, what it'll recognize. So you won't even have to do that. But the way we're doing right now is when I'm moving money, when I'm essentially paying credit card from my checking account, so I have my credit card linked in and I have my checking account linked in, we just book it to, we call it contra account. So we just move it to contra account and it zeroes out at the end of the day.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, let me know, man, if you have any other questions on the calendar side of it. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Is any other questions from anyone? This recording will be available I'll put it on our Facebook group later today or tomorrow, and we'll also send it out via email to everyone tomorrow. But if you have any other questions, definitely let us know, and any other thoughts or feedback on what we could talk about in our next call. Next call is going to be the sales call with my acquisition person. Unfortunately, she couldn't join today. She wasn't feeling too well, so we pushed it to next week. But this was a great call, a lot of great questions and comments. But if you have any other questions or feedback or suggestions, definitely let us know. Okay. Cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being on the call and making it a great call. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.